What is up, everyone? I'm Skratch. Welcome to the channel. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. In today's video, guys, I'm gonna tell you that I was wrong. So when I released the video about how to build Thor, guys, I actually used him on a Slayer set. Now, Plarium since confirmed 100% that the A2 on Thor's skill will not actually proc a Slayer set, which means that he will not actually get to ignore defense with this skill right here. If you guys are not familiar with the video that I'm talking about this one right here, Thor busted build, so we used him on a Slayer set right there. Plarium mentioned it right here, interaction between Thor's A2 and the Slayer set. There have been some questions within the community regarding Thor's A2 and its synergy with the Slayer set. Despite this skill's description stating attacks all enemies, the attacks are happening one by one. Therefore, in this case, the Slayer set does not give Thor the 30% ignore defense. And this is not a bug, it's something that was 100% intended. So this skill right here for Thor, guys, is the most powerful skill, okay? This is the one that will bring you the biggest amount of damage, the biggest numbers. Now, I do want to do one thing in today's video. We're going to try him on a 9-piece Slayer set versus a 9-piece Merciless set with very similar stats in the exact same team. And we're going to see which one comes on top. Now, the main reason why I want to do it, I've seen a lot of you guys justifying it as well. Well, Thor still has 2 AoE skills, right? He has this one right here and the passive. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of the Slayer set for any of the champions. And the reason for it, my Slayer set absolutely sucks, okay? So I cannot really build any champions good on a Slayer set. So I always opt in for a Merciless or Savage or something else that will give me much better stats than a Slayer set, okay? And for that simple reason, I don't use a Slayer set on any champions on my entire account, okay? just to kind of like make that thing clear. So what we're gonna do, guys, I'm quickly gonna share the build with you. I know personally I do want to use him on 6-piece Merciless. That's exactly how I'm gonna build my Thor. That's exactly how I have him built, to be more specific. And that was even before I actually got to make that video. And as I explained, is mainly an issue of stats, right? So this one right here is the build of a 9-piece Slayer set. Now we're gonna have that 30% ignore defense with 2 of the skills, the passive and the A3. So I wanna compare these 2 sets versus each other, just to give you guys a better understanding on how much of a difference you're gonna get if you're using a Slayer versus a Merciless. How much better is the Merciless set on him if you're going to ignore defense with that A2, but you are going to miss on the chance to deal additional AoE damage with the A2 and the A3. Will it make a massive difference? Will they be very similar in terms of damage at the end of the run? So this is what we have on him at the moment. If we're quickly gonna go over the presets, my main build on a Thor, guys, of course with different accessories, will be something like this, with much better stats because I have better accessories. So I'm gonna get him close to like a 8k attack and slightly more crit damage on a 6-piece Merciless. That's exactly how I'm running him. So the build that I currently have on him, guys, will be the following. Now let me just quickly bring on the Hydra battle stats. So we have 52k HP, we have 7k attack, 3k defense, 199 speed, 104 crit rate, 339 crit damage, and we have 300 to accuracy, and of course, we're going to ignore 20% of the target's defense. I have a 4-star blessing on him, which of course is Nature's Wrath. He is fully booked. He has masteries, which we're not going to change. We're going to keep the exact same masteries on him, even on the second build, because there is really no point to change that. Ham Smasher as tier 6. Now let's head over to the Hydra clan boss. What I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna play a full run, guys, of reaching the turn limit count and stuff, and I'm gonna go on hard difficulty just to make sure that I can actually have enough accuracy to land the debuffs with both of the builds. And we're going to run this particular team right here. So we have everything that we need in here. We're going to have the decreased speed. We're going to have a mischief target. We're going to have defense down and weaken. We're going to have hacks, ally attack. And I'm going to play it all the way to 100 turns, okay? And I'm gonna manual it just to be in full control to reduce the RNG of the champions using their skills at the wrong moment. I'm gonna try to replicate both of the runs to kind of like give us an idea. Now, Thor's A2, as I mentioned, is the most powerful skill on his kit, and he can deal crazy, crazy damage. So we definitely want to make the most out of that skill, to be honest with you guys, rather than just don't ignore defense with it. But I'm still very curious to see how much of a difference is going to make if we are going to run that as a crazy skill with ignore defense, or if we're going to make the most out of the AoE skills. You know, I feel like it's definitely a pretty interesting thing. So we're gonna go ham on here, put that decreased speed, get that Nature's Wrath up and running. We're gonna do a quick ally attack on here. I know I don't have any champion in my team to help me deal with the Head of Torment. To be honest, that is not really a massive problem, because we're about to just demolish these heads, you know, and every time they're gonna come back, it's gonna be pretty much the same story. They just won't have a chance to really do anything versus the champion. So we might be missing out on a couple of different skills here and there with the RNG in there, but that's fine, not the biggest issue. So he's going to pump in some pretty good numbers even with the AoE attacks, right? Now, one of the main things to kind of like argue it versus a Slayer set is that, well, his A1 is not AoE, and I feel like that's very important when you are building champions on a Slayer set. You definitely need to take that in consideration, because it is one of the most important things as well. It's one of the skills that they will use the most, you know, so trying to basically bring as much damage possible from that one is actually gonna be very important. So we have 13.7 million damage, we have defense down, and weaken 3 decapitated heads, and we're gonna go in with the A3, and most likely the passive should proc on here. So let's see how much damage we're gonna bring. So 13.7, right? We went all the way to 18.4. So we almost got 5 million damage just by using the A3 and proccing the passive. I did not pay attention if the Slayer set procced or it did not. It's only a 30% chance, right? So it's not the craziest thing ever in the game. It can be helpful, but hey, it's not that 100% chance, basically, you know? So let's try to take everybody down. And now, what I'm gonna do, I'm basically going to use that A2. Unfortunately, we have 2 heads that just spawned out pretty quick. They were far off from having full turn meter, but hey, it is what it is. I don't have that A2 available just yet, which again is fine. We can go in with A1. So another thing to keep in mind, if you have a Merciless, you're gonna ignore defense with the A1 as well. Right now, the A1 deals around 500k per hit, which is not bad damage, but if you ignore defense, you're definitely gonna get way more damage than that. And it will play a pretty important role down the line, because every time you're going to use an ally attack, every time you're just generally going to use the A1, you're going to get big numbers from it. So right now we have 34.3 million, and we're going to go with the A2. And we got 38. So we managed to bring in a bit of damage, nothing too insane. And that's because we don't ignore defense, right? So what was it? 3+ million damage, if I'm not mistaken. So we're definitely expecting to see a much bigger change once we're gonna get to swap the sets around. And now we can go in again with the A3, and most likely that passive will proc as well. So 42.9. Okay, no passive proc actually. Ah, yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. So we have 45.9, 42.9, 45.9, right? So it's not the craziest damage. 2 non-decapitated heads that are basically just chilling here. I'm not gonna carry you through the entire 100 turns, guys, because it's gonna take us quite a bit. So we don't actually really need to go all the way to turn 100. We're gonna stop at turn 50 because we have a very good sample already, right? We're at almost 300 million damage. So that's more than enough to kind of like give us a very good sample. Plus, like this, we're actually going to reduce the RNG of having different heads spawning all the time, right? The good thing on hard difficulty is that the chance for new heads to spawn out all the time are much lower than on a brutal or on nightmare, right? That's part of the difficulty challenge. So we're gonna use the signature skill right here. the A3 actually, because we are on the Slayer set. We're not gonna use the A2, so let's go in like this. I'll be very honest with you guys. I've seen massive hits from Thor with the A2 that dealt around 2.7 million damage without actually ignoring defense from a set, right? We are ignoring defense with Helm Smasher. We are ignoring defense with the area bonuses from the Great Hall, but nothing exactly from the gear, right? So that does make quite a bit of a difference. Can we get one more turn with Thor before anything happens here, please? Come on, Thor. Beautiful. So we can use the A2 right here as well. So let's see. You see 2.4, 1 point something, but of course the damage increases with each hit. So at turn 50, we're going to cut the line. There we go. I feel like he's doing pretty good damage even like this, though, to be honest with you guys. Of course, I have other champions that are really assisting him in doing the damage and all that. But we have Taras with 102 million damage. Thor with 79.3. Okay, so definitely not bad damage from the Slayer set. Now, what I'm very curious to see is if we are bringing in the other set, and we're going to give him Merciless instead, how much more of a difference we're going to see. Not only that the A2 will ignore defense and deal more damage, but the A1 and the hacks will increase the damage quite a bit as well. So that's another thing to take in consideration when you are building your Thor, right? So we're going to have a bit of extra speed in here. I will definitely try to solve that attack right there, because we do have 250 more attack, which is definitely not the best thing. So if I'm gonna go to preset, probably that's why we actually have the extra attack. Yeah, there we go. The accessories. I forgot that this amazing preset doesn't actually put your accessories to and the gear at the same time. You're gonna have to go and do it separately. So now the stats are actually looking way better. They're way more similar than they used to be before. We actually have, I think, 4% more crit damage. We have around 50 less attack, but we have slightly more speed. We don't have enough speed to make him take 200 extra turns, right? So the speed is a bit more, but it's not something that's going to completely change our run, you know? So there we go. We have 47k HP. We have 6.9k attack. We have 3k defense, 216 speed, full crit rate, 343 crit damage. So I definitely have around 4% more crit damage, but I have almost 100 less attack. So that should give us a pretty good example of how much the difference is in between these two results. I'll be honest, I already forgot the damage that he dealt. Was it 79.3 million damage, if I'm not mistaken? So let's go back in it and let's see what we're gonna do this time around. I'm curious how much of a difference we're going to actually notice in here. Is it gonna be something extremely substantial that's gonna be like, wow, 20 extra million? Or it's gonna be something like, okay, 100 extra K, you know, or something like that. Which will definitely change quite a few things if that would be the case, you know? So let's crack on with that hat. Seems like we haven't landed the weekend there, which is not a problem. I will go with the A3 as I went before. And slowly and surely we will take these Hydra heads down. And then the real power of Thor is going to be activated. Should I go with this? Yes, I feel like I don't really have many choices. Why is not Cardiel going in front of him? I have a feel. Actually, he just took a turn. Duh. There we go. Much better now. So we're taking those heads. We're taking those heads down. Okay, that's almost down. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the A2 because why not? So already we ignore quite a bit of defense now, 35% plus masteries, plus of course the Great Hall, and we dealt 2.4 million on the Head of Mischief with no weaken or defense down. We're still not at a point where we're ignoring the defense by 100%, right? Which does make quite a bit of a difference. So I'm very curious to see once we're gonna have all of the debuffs on, we're gonna have the buffs on as well, and all of the heads down to see what sort of damage we're gonna get. So hopefully we can keep them down for a little longer. So we get to use the A3 more often and the A2. So the A1 will hit now for 700, 688k, the passive proc, sorry. And we got an extra turn because of the 9-piece Merciless. I wish I could build champions on 9 pieces, guys, but unfortunately I just don't have very OP accessories for most of them, or something else stops me from doing it. But a 9-piece is actually very nasty from Merciless, you know. So look at that, another extra turn. This is one thing that's gonna make him go crazy. This is 100% something that's gonna make him go crazy. So check this out. Let's see the highest hit now. 1.9, 1.9, 1.5. I haven't seen anything over 2, which is a bit strange. Probably the last hit, which was the strongest, went to the decapitated head. I would assume so. I would assume that was the issue right there. So let's go with Taras, bring in a big nuke. We have the A3 available now. We have the buffs on. We have the debuffs as well. Even this skill should be doing a bit of more damage on the initial hit without that extra 30% chance to proc the extra damage. It's just because we ignore more defense, you know. So 1 point, 1 point. The passive brings 1, close to 1. That was something very similar with the Slayer set, so nothing special in there. What should bring more damage as well is the A1, basically, you know. And those extra turns can definitely come in handy, especially if you're taking them in a situation like this, where you have all of the decapitated heads and you're like, please, give me more extra turns. Right now is the moment. Thor, do it, you know? If you're in that sort of a situation, let's see, are we taking a turn before? We are. So can we gain an extra turn from a 9-piece Merciless, please? Yes, we can! We are unstoppable. And the damage with the A1 increased from like 500k to like 600 plus k. So it's not the craziest increase in damage on the A1, but what I want to see is this skill right here, the A2. Come on. 3.3 being the highest. So we basically gained on that skill approximately 600, 700k extra damage compared to the Slayer set. Now, with the Slayer set, we gain 30% additional damage on AoE attacks, which 100% will make up for that damage. So that's one thing to keep in mind, okay? I'm gonna take you straight to the final result, guys. Again, we're gonna stop exactly at turn 50. So here we are, guys. We are almost at 50 turns. Yes, the damage overall for the team is better. I do have to say one thing. I was really expecting to see his A2 really dropping in a lot of extra damage. Now, what I really like about a 9-piece Merciless is the combination of Relentless plus Reflex. You know, I've never used a champion in a Hydra on 9-piece Merciless. As I mentioned, I can't really build them strong enough. But it's definitely a pretty nice touch, you know. So let's see the A2 again in action. You see, 2 million, 1 million, 1 million. It's not like it's an insane difference in terms of what numbers we are getting from the champion, right? The A1 does hit slightly harder. The A2 is not really as impactful as I was expecting it to be. What I find it very impactful is the ability to rotate your skills much faster because of the decreased cooldowns and the extra turn, right? So I feel like that is definitely a very solid thing. So we can pump in quite a bit of damage, even though he's almost getting devoured. There we go, turn 50, 438 million. Now, let's see how much of an improvement we actually had on Thor with 9-piece Merciless versus 9-piece Slayer. And as you may notice, the difference is actually massive. Is an absolutely insane difference. So, not double the damage, but we actually got almost close to it. Okay, almost close to it. From 79 million damage, we actually managed to out-damage Taras. I was 100% sure that Taras will come on top, okay? Just because I've got some nasty hits with Taras, just blowing all of the heads for like 4 or 5 million. But then look at Thor, 135 million damage, guys. And this is on a 9-piece Merciless. So without a doubt, a 9-piece Merciless absolutely demolishes a 9-piece Slayer set. So here I am. I'm sorry, I was wrong, okay? Every now and then, we get to be wrong as well, guys. And as I mentioned in the previous video, I was not 100% sure if the Slayer will actually proc for the A2 as well. But confirmed, it doesn't. So you can actually see a massive, massive difference in what sort of damage you can get with Thor on Merciless versus a Slayer, right? So it's definitely quite a bit of a difference, right? It's way more than 50% increase in damage. It's almost double as I mentioned, because 79 to 135, it definitely brings you quite a bit of extra damage. So if you are paying attention at the total damage, we have 438 million with Merciless, 316 with Slayer. One thing that really improved, except Thor's damage, is the damage that Krisk is bringing out with the Hex, okay? So we have Krisk with 71 million on the Merciless build, and we have Krisk with 46 on the Slayer build. And I'm talking about the Thor build, not the actual Krisk build, right? Just the A1 and the rest of the skills definitely added quite a bit of damage. And as you can notice, I know I've mentioned it before, 135 versus 80. Let me just round that up. So it's quite a bit of a difference, guys. But that was all for this video. As usual, much love. Appreciate all of you guys watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.